So this video is very important for people who are looking to learn photography or just practicing or just beginning with photography and want to learn more about it. And they are quite confused when they look at tutorials on YouTube or on the internet. They see photographers using very big cameras, very big and expensive cameras and lenses altogether, like 24-70, 70-200, 5D Mark IV, A7S III. There are lots of cameras, but someone who is starting out just right now doesn't have a lot of money, and especially in India, where there is obviously lack of money, people have very limited budget and they feel inferior about it. So we will talk about which lenses you need to start photography or at least learn photography in basic level. So this video is only for beginners. So first of all, don't fall into the trap that you need very expensive lenses, you need very big cameras or expensive, all those stuff. It's not really important. The most important thing that when you are learning photography, the most important thing is you need to master a few things. One is the exposure triangle. What is exposure triangle? I've made a video on it. You can find that video on our channel if you search for it. And exposure triangle consists of three things. One is aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. These are the three core factors, three main factors that you need to understand and you need to master them. So whenever there is a requirement, you need to click a photo, you need to capture a photo, you know that I need this ISO, I need this aperture, I need this shutter speed. So using this, you can master photography, and later on the equipment can change later on. You can just interchange everything. So the lens and the cameras are not very important. What is important is how much grip you have, how much command you have over these very important thing, very essential things. As I said, exposure triangle and composition and all this stuff. So you are looking to just start photography, right? You have bought yourself a camera, the basic camera, the entry-level camera, because you just want to test the waters, right? So what you have got? You have got Canon 1200D, 1300D or 1400D or Nikon D5400 or something of that sort, 3200, 3400. There are lots of basic cameras that you can buy, or even you can use your mobile phone camera if that is required and if you don't have any budget as of now. So when you buy a camera, so what all comes with the box itself? So there is the camera body and there is a kit lens. So the most important lens when you're starting out, when you're learning photography or cinematography, the most important lens that will play in your photography career is the kit lens. Why am I saying so? Because it's free, it's included in the box itself, it's included with the camera that you're buying. If you're not buying very high-end cameras like 6D or something of that sort, you will get a kit lens. So with that kit lens, you can practice and practice. So how you can use that? Because it has a variable focal length. Generally it is around like 24-70 or it depends, 16-55 of that sort, 18-55. These are the variable focal length. So you can zoom in and zoom out when you are looking to take photos. So the most important thing that you need to understand is to have command over exposure triangle. Learn to practice, learn about shutter speed, what shutter speed that is required at a particular situation, what aperture is required, what ISO is required. So when you're starting out, you can use the auto mode, then you can gradually move to P mode, aperture mode, program mode that we call it. Aperture mode is A mode, is where you are fixing the aperture and the shutter speed and the ISO is changing. In P mode, you are fixing the shutter speed and the aperture and ISO is changing altogether. So you can just experiment around, and using these features and this lens, you can zoom in, zoom out, you can work on exposure triangle. Like this is, for example, if you are taking a photo of a moving subject, what you can do is you can just experiment with different shutter speeds. You can use P mode for that example. You can use 1/60th of a second, 1/80th of a second, 1/160th of a second, 1/200th of a second, 1/250th of a second. So you can just experiment around and understand, okay, this shutter speed is very important. This shutter speed is the minimum that is required while taking photo of a moving subject. So once you are just playing around with the basic kit lens, you have had a fair experience with that. And later, the next stage, when you see online, you see like background blur and stuff, bokeh, it looks very gorgeous, very amazing. So you want to learn more about that, because you cannot achieve those bokehs and background blur with the kit lens, because the aperture is variable and it starts from around like 3.5 for in 1855 if I am correct. So it's not even 2.8. So you can just zoom in and take those good shots. What I'm talking about, if you don't understand, don't worry. Later on, we'll make very detailed videos, and we have courses on our website which you can obviously take and learn more about photography and cinematography. So the next lens that you need to buy, or you can purchase if you have the budget, because as you're starting out, you don't have a budget and you're just experimenting, right? So I'm not going to, or we are not going to suggest you very expensive. Don't invest unless and until you get a return from that. So the next lens we would suggest you to have or buy is a fixed focal length, which is, what do you mean by fixed focal length? We have 35mm lens, we have 50mm lens, we have 85mm lens, we have 135mm lens. So in these lenses, the focal length is fixed. We cannot zoom in and zoom out. When you're using these lenses, you cannot zoom in and zoom out. So what is the speciality of these lenses? Typically, these fixed focal lenses have fixed aperture, or as you have heard, you will see 50 f1.4, f51 f1.2, 35 f1.8. So when you're buying these lenses, you are getting a lens which has a very wide aperture, which is very useful because you need a wider aperture to get more and more light, so you can do low light photography, and you can achieve those beautiful bokehs and the gorgeous bokehs that you see on internet, on the wedding photography sites and all. So the next investment that you should make is buying a fixed focal length with wide aperture. Typically it's around like $100, $150, or like 7,000, 8,000 rupees. It's quite cheap compared to a good lens. When you buy an expensive or at least a standard lens, it will cost you approximately 70 to 80,000 rupees, or 1,000 to 1,500 dollars. So that is quite expensive. And if you can get that in 1/10 of the price or 1/8 of the price, then it's a bargain, right? So you can buy Canon 50 f1.8 or Nikon 35mm or 50mm f1.8, which is really an upgrade from the kit lens, the 3.5 aperture one lens, right? So using this fixed focal length, what you will learn, how it will help you. So let's discuss about it. So once you buy a fixed focal length lens which has a very wide aperture, so what you are doing to yourself, because you have a fair experience with shutter speed, ISO, aperture, the exposure triangle altogether, so you know what kind of lighting and what kind of lighting you need, what kind of shutter speed or aperture or ISO, right? So you are quite aware of that. So when you're buying or when you're using a fixed focal length, so what you have to do, it makes you more robust, it makes you more practical, because when you're taking a photo with a kit lens, you can just zoom in, zoom out, and you become lazy. But in case of using a fixed focal length lens, you have to walk in and walk in front and walk in back to get the perfect shot, right? You cannot just zoom in and zoom out because you don't have that option altogether. So what it does is it teaches you how to move around, what kind of situation. It teaches you more about composition. I built my whole wedding photography career on one lens, that is 51.4, and that is amazing. If you give me that lens, I can cover the wedding altogether, barring the group shots, but I can do the panorama thing as well. So I have built my whole career, wedding photography career, over one lens, because this has helped me a lot. This is a very good thing. So once you buy a fixed focal length lens, you can just work around, you know, okay, this is how it works. You can improve your composition as well, and along with that, you can also take good low light shots. You can have the bokeh images, amazing good images. So this is very important. These are the two most important lenses that you need to buy or you need to have when you're starting out or learning photography or cinematography. Let us talk about the pros and cons of these lenses that we were talking about. For example, as you know, the kit lens practically comes for free because it is bundled with the camera that you're going to buy. But the main issue that we face is the quality of the optics or the quality of the glass that they are using in the kit lens is not that good. It's kind of inferior when you compare it to other lenses altogether. You will see the images are quite soft. It doesn't have a lot of contrast. The color rendition is not so good with using those kit lenses, but it's not the case all the time. But so this is the typical case of using kit lens, and along with that, the best feature that you can get is you can zoom in and zoom out using the kit lens. So that helps a lot when you're learning, when you're starting out photography. And the next lens that we talked about is the fixed focal length lens with very wide aperture. That is really useful, and as you know, it will help you with taking good low light shots and having those background blurs and all. It looks amazing. It produces a lot of gorgeous images. But the best thing about is when you compare the images from kit lens, the quality of the photo is much better because the quality of the glass compared to kit lens is much better and of high quality. So when you're taking a photo with using this fixed focal length lenses, the color rendition is good, the contrast is good, and in terms of quality, it is much more better than kit lens. But as the cons, as you know, this is the inhibition. This is the problem with, if you call it as a problem of fixed focal length, is that you have to constantly move. And it also teaches you about composition, because when you move in and move out, you know what you're taking. You are not just sitting there, standing there, zooming in and zooming out. So this is how these two lenses will teach you the basics of photography as well as composition, and will help you understand what is composition, what is low light photography, what is bokeh, what is composition, what is exposure triangle. So these are the basic lenses, and after which you can definitely upgrade to higher quality lenses, or you can just rent them out, because you can just change the lenses and the equipment, but the talent will be the same. The talent will be you. If you found this video useful, like this video, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel to get further more updates and learn photography and cinematography and a lot of skills online on our learning platform skillyogi.com. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.